Good morning and welcome into First Take on this Memorial Day. We all want to thank those who continue to sacrifice and protect our country, our freedom. You are the true heroes. We appreciate you today and always. Thank you. Guys?
Molly, I appreciate you echoing those sentiments. Good morning. Hope you and Skip had a lovely weekend. Want to thank all of our fallen soldiers. We appreciate their efforts, their sacrifices, no doubt about it. Skip Bayless, allow me to say this. I've been covering the NBA for 20 years. I am so hyped for tonight. This is, when you cover this league, these are the kind of moments you wait for, you live for. It's not just about the Game 7. It's how it got to this point. Skip, I could not wait to be looking at you this morning to do this show. I'm so ready. Oh, I'm so ready for this. Woo!
Allow me to say, I have been covering the National Basketball Association, writing about it, talking about it, on air, in print, for almost 40 years. And to take nothing away from the Memorial Day, the reason for this holiday, this feels like a holiday to me in a basketball sense, because it does not get better than Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Steph versus Westbrook, Kevin Durant fighting for his Oklahoma City life against a record 73-win team, trying to come back from the 3-1 down dead. I don't know. I couldn't make it up. This is it. Very special.
Like a kid
Absolutely.
on Christmas morning. All right, gentlemen.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. The Western Conference Finals continue to not disappoint. Saturday night, the Warriors rallied from 8 points down in the fourth to force a Game 7. The Splash Brothers combining for 72 points. Golden State became the first team in 16 years to win a conference finals game in which they faced elimination and trailed by as many as 8 in the fourth. Stephen A., how do you explain what happened on Saturday night?
Well, there's a couple of ways to explain it. On the positive side, we'll go there first. The reigning defending NBA champions, led by a league MVP in Steph Curry, ultimately ended up being led by one who could make the case that he is indeed the best shooter in the game of basketball, and his name happens to be Klay Thompson. Skip, you know I've raved about Klay Thompson for quite some time, as has you. I think in making a contract in excess of $70 million, the Golden State Warriors have gotten away with a bargain, because this brother is one special ball player. He doesn't have the pretty handle and the ball handling skills of a Steph Curry. The showmanship, no, it's not there. But this dude is a sniper extraordinaire. He shows up under pressure. He shows up in big moments, and he shows up on both ends of the floor. And he was absolutely spectacular. As Charles Barkley said, his performance was utterly ridiculous. This dude was on another level Saturday night, and as far as I'm concerned, kept them in the game, because Steph Curry closed like he's capable of doing, but the Golden State Warriors collectively were not that great. But Klay Thompson was. So he showed up and obviously had 17 points in the fourth quarter, but ultimately Steph Curry stepped up and handled his business as well, sitting there, I think what he had, 29, 10, and 9. It was a very, very special performance on the part of Steph Curry, no doubt. That's the positive. The negative is this. I want to emphasize I'm talking about just one game. I'm talking about just one performance. I religiously state that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are two of the 5 best players in the game. They are not stars. They are superstars, okay? And they're great ambassadors for the game of basketball. But we have to call it like we saw it. That was a choke job in Game 6. There is no other way to slice it. You commit 6 turnovers in the last 3 minutes of a game. You're Russell Westbrook, and you can commit 4 turnovers in the last 1 minute and 39 seconds. 3 turnovers in the last 55 seconds. That's a choke job. You can slice it any way you want to. You can't be great, great, great all the time, and then the moment comes where the game wanes, the pressure's on, and your palms get sweaty and your backside gets tight, and all of a sudden you can't make decisions that are right decisions. I want to go back to the positive by giving Andre Iguodala credit, because on one end, on the right wing, he's the one that stripped Kevin Durant. On the left wing, he strips Russell Westbrook and forces a turnover. He comes into the game with 6 minutes and 33 seconds left in the fourth quarter and he was just absolutely stellar. The reigning NBA Finals MVP was playing like that defensively and showed why he's Andre Iguodala, why he's the other AI for different reasons than the original AI, of course, but nevertheless potent in and all of itself. In the end, what it comes down to is the reigning, the defending NBA champions showed up, showed the poise necessary to remind everybody what champions are supposed to be made of. And those dudes in Oklahoma City aspiring to be champions were led by two superstars who acted like anything but, who choked when the pressure mounted, and as a result may have cost their team a trip to the finals. There is no other way to slice it. That is what happened in Game 6, and who knows what will happen in Game 7, because, again, when you make nonsensical, idiotic decisions down the stretch, you might be so lost that you're oblivious to the pressure of a Game 7, and who knows, Oklahoma City might be the type of team that shows up and gets it done. But we're talking about Game 6 for the moment, and Game 6 was a choke job.
Strong, harsh, true. I agree with you. My bottom line takeaway is that the Oklahoma City Thunder choked on the ear-splitting expectations generated by that crowd. You know it well there in Oklahoma City, Stephen A. There's not a louder crowd this side of Oracle. There may be a louder one at Oracle tonight. We'll see about that. But I thought that the expectations and the mounting ear-splitting pressure finally overwhelmed the two stars of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And by the way, let me just throw this out. Russell Westbrook, who's laughing now? I throw that out because, Stephen A., you know and I know, it ain't over yet. And I'll recite the old cliche, he who laughs last laughs best. So maybe Russell and company could get the last laugh tonight at Oracle. But right now, Steph Curry's the one not laughing, but grinning, because as we know, after that Game 5, Russell Westbrook appeared to be laughing at a question about Steph's defense. I just throw that out. Now, allow me to take one other quick left turn here, Mr. Smith. As you know, over the last week or so on the show, I finally said, okay, I give up, and I tried to take a seat at the very rear of the Oklahoma City Thunder bandwagon. As you know, I grew up in Oklahoma City, but I've been a Spurs fan since the George Gervin era. So I wasn't going to be a hypocrite when my hometown shockingly landed an NBA franchise. I couldn't just jump off the Spurs bandwagon because I got it in my blood now. I loved Iceman. I love those teams. I love the Duncan era teams from the start. And yet, I finally gave up and gave in last week, and I said, you know what? This team has arrived. This team has finally figured it out. How to close, how to win big playoff games. It has finally found itself. And then Saturday night, that happened. To me, my takeaway was Durant and Westbrook reverted to what I used to not like at all about them, that I thought they had corrected and grown out of. They turned back into the turnover twins down the stretch. We've seen it all too often. In truth, we saw it late in Game 5 against my Spurs. A big turnover by Durant, big turnover by Westbrook. But Tony Parker couldn't cash in. And Klay Thompson and Steph Curry just kept cashing and cashing and cashing in on those turnovers. The Thunder turned back into what I've called the Oklahoma City blunder. And to me, the biggest blunder, and if you want to blame this on the coaching staff or just on Russell, Stephen A., you're up 7 at home with 5 minutes left of the biggest games of your life, biggest game of your life, a chance to clinch an NBA Finals trip, your second NBA Finals trip against LeBron, and all of a sudden Russell goes into stall ball mode. He thinks he can kind of walk it up and sort of start dribbling out the clock. No, not against that team. You cannot dribble out the clock against Klay and Steph, especially when both of them have a hot hand at that point. And every clock possession to me degenerated into 10, 9, 8. Whose turn is it? You go, I go, turnover, turnover. They go the other way. One pass, boom, shot, game tied, up 3. You know the rest of the story. And yet, Stephen A., biggest picture to me, and we'll talk in our next block about who's going to win Game 7 tonight, but my biggest takeaway from this game, and I'm curious what you saw, I thought Golden State, by its gold standard basketball, 73 wins, I thought it played a pretty lousy basketball game until the final 5 minutes, except for that guy you started your soliloquy with, Klay Thompson. He's just making 3 after 3 to just barely keep them afloat and breathing. Barely. Just another 3. Remember, Oklahoma City's up 13 with 4.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Didn't you think it was a rout? I thought it was just teetering on a blowout.
No, Skip. I didn't think it was a rout. Here was why. I saw Kevin Durant come out and jack up 19 shots. What is it that we consistently rave about with Kevin Durant? It's not just his ability to score the basketball. It's the offensive efficiency. The fact that he doesn't force it, that he lets the game come to him, that he's almost unselfish to a fault. And nothing about that Kevin Durant showed up in the first half. He was trying to go, I mean, literally, he was going 1-on-3 at times. He was forcing shots. And I understand Billy Donovan saying, keep it going, don't lose your confidence or whatever. Kevin Durant wanted it, and I'm not going to fault him the way others were faulting him in the first half. Because I understand you want it badly, and I'd rather you be victimized by being overly aggressive as opposed to being passive. So I give him credit for that, but I was shocked at the decision-making that he was making. He wasn't setting up and getting solid shots. He was forcing one shot after another, and it just seemed so unlike him, almost like the moment was too big for him. Now, that's sacrilegious to say. This guy has played in closeout games in the playoffs before, and he's averaged 34 on better than 50% shooting in those games. So it's not like he panicked or anything like that in terms of his first half performance. He was just a little bit too anxious. But where the disappointment comes in, you talked about Oklahoma City and choking. No, Skip Bayless, I said Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I'm not holding anybody else on their squad accountable. Roberson played well. Steven Adams and Enes Kanter and everybody else played within themselves. Those two guys forgot that they had their teammates around them. The trust that they showed in everybody throughout this series went right out the window when they sensed that they were 48 minutes away from a trip to the finals. It was almost as if they wanted to cement the fact that we are the reasons we're going there when everybody knows you're the reason they're going there, if indeed that were to be the case. And that's where this becomes so egregious, because you went away from what had been working for you for practically every game this series. If it was haphazard, that would be different. It was working. There was no, even in their Game 5 loss, it was working. There was no excuse to do what they did in Game 6, and it cost them.
Okay, but remember in a previous game, I think it was 5, when Kevin Durant went 3 for 10 in the fourth quarter, I pointed that out, and you said, well, at least he was shooting the ball. At least he cared enough, that like he had the faith enough in himself to say, let me shoot these shots.
But Skip, he wasn't forcing it. The shots that he was taking when he only went 3 for 10, practically every shot was a typical Durant shot. Whereas if you looked in Game 6 and what transpired, and particularly in the first half, and as the game waned, he was forcing it. I didn't see those forced shots in Game 5. It was clear they were forced in Game 6. There were times Chris Webber and then was pointing out on the telecast, because Chris Webber's just doing an outstanding job, by the way, and he was pointing out, you got a guy open right there, and Kevin Durant's not even looking at him. Not even looking at him. And that's not Kevin Durant. That's not what he does. But he did it in Game 6. He didn't do that so much in Game 5. There were open guys in Game 6, and he was completely ignoring them and just jacking up shots.
Okay, to your point, Enes Kanter, and whenever I've rooted against Oklahoma City, Enes scares me to death because, boy, he just makes shot after shot after shot. In this game, he'd made 4 out of 5 shots, didn't play a minute of the fourth quarter.
That's right.
Serge Ibaka has had a crazy hot
don't get me started with him.
Yeah, But he'd made 5 out of 9 shots going to the fourth quarter. He got 1 shot in the fourth quarter.
Well,
Waiters has had a hot hand in other games, didn't have one in this hand, got 1 shot in the fourth quarter. Those guys have all been big shot makers, and to your point, Westbrook, Durant just said, no, get out of our way. We do this. This is our team and our time and our moment, and they couldn't get it done.
I'm with you on Cantor and Waiters. Serge Ibaka's getting on my damn nerves. This guy made a name for himself being a defensive wizard and a shot blocker extraordinaire. Skip, he did make 5 of 10 shots, okay? The 5 shots he missed were all threes. He went 1 for 6 from three-point range. What the hell are you doing shooting 6 threes in a game for if you are Serge Ibaka?
In the series.
You're 6'10", maybe get your butt inside, okay? That's where you're needed. Golden State has nothing. They almost have nothing in the interior. I know Andrew Bogut can defend the front line, but he's pretty much the only one. Draymond Green has had block shots and he's rebounded, but those are usually against guards coming into the paint. A Serge Ibaka has plenty of action down low if he wants to be a man and go down low, which he is a man. Come on now.
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying you don't take a couple of threes, but you don't shoot 6 threes in a game if you're Serge Ibaka.
Okay, but remember, when they go small and Steve Kerr sticks with Bogut, then they feel like they have a mismatch out at the three-point line because Bogut's not going to cover him. They're basically daring Ibaka to shoot those threes, and they got away with it this time.
Well, listen, you say they got away with it. What I'm saying to you is that sometimes you look at Golden State's defense this year, it's not the same defense it was last year. Some of those lanes are as wide as Broadway on a Sunday morning, okay? you can go to the lane, you can go to the hole, you can make things happen. I promise you, and certainly not comparing LeBron James to a Serge Ibaka, but the flip, or vice versa, actually, but the flip side is this. I promise you, if Golden State wins tonight and they're in the NBA Finals, what you're going to see is LeBron James going to the hole. You're going to see that an awful lot. You're not going to see guys settling for threes. That's what Golden State wants you to do, because if you miss them, what happens? It's a long rebound, which leads to fast breaks, which leads to them getting open shots on the break, which feeds their offense. You don't want to do that. You're playing into their hands.
Yep.
You want to take it to the rack when the opportunity provides itself. And if you're Serge Ibaka, again, a couple of threes, fine. 6 threes? That just reeks of softness to me. You are 6'10". You are built like a man. You can make things happen in the post. You could go to the free throw line and make shots. Taking a couple of threes is fine, but you can't be settling for it and make that a prolific part of your offense and expect to win. I don't believe that.
Okay, but when they go in, they look great, and it feels great. And
well, damn it, they ain't going in Game 6.
Okay.
And it didn't take long to figure out they weren't going in.
I got you, but what about when your 2 co-stars combined to go 1 for 13 from 3? Let's talk about that. What about how about the other 2 co-stars combined to go 17 for 32 from 3, mostly because of Clay, obviously, making his 11. But my point is, when 2 co-stars make 17 and your 2 co-stars in OKC make 1, it's 17-1. That's 16 more threes times 3. That's 48 more points. You're going to be in trouble.
But Skip Bayless, I can tell you this. The word choke covers a lot of territory.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into those details. I said choke. I mean, what way do you want me to slice it? The turnovers, the three-point shooting? What do you want me to do? I mean, you know, the ill-advised shots in the first half. I'm saying to you, I addressed that with one word, choke.
Yep.
It's just that simple. But the point is that in the end, I believe in Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and that they can make amends for that performance in terms of how they could potentially perform in Game 7.
I would agree.
I'm not calling them chokers. I'm just talking specifically about what I witnessed in Game 6.
Yep.
Having said all of that, those other guys, you got to play within yourself. And if you Serge Ibaka, you're a man. You've been a man for years. You're one of the primary reasons they sat up there and said, okay, we can let James Harden go to Houston since he wants to be the man so badly. Because we gonna keep Serge. Well, you got to do it. If they wanted another three-point shooter, they'd have kept James Harden. Okay? You got to show up and be a man in the post area. Come on now. You can't do that.
Not
6
sure he ever
threes for
has
Serge
been.
Ibaka? I mean, come on.
I think he's like a mid-range to three-point shooter. Remember what he did to my Spurs? What was it, 5 years ago?
Mid-range is fine.
Made 10 out of 10 in a game. Okay, that's fine.
Mid-range is fine. You're 6'10" behind. Don't need to be more than 19 feet away from the basket and beyond.
Okay.
No, you need to get closer to the basket and play a man's game.
Last quick point. We know what Klay Thompson can do. By the way, Klay scored 37 points in 1 quarter against Sacramento. Think about that. 37. It's craziness. It's video gameness. We know he can do that on any given night. He can also go cold on any given night. But here's my bottom line takeaway. I keep hearing, I don't know what you're hearing, but I've heard from a whole lot of people around the NBA that Steph Curry just ain't right, that his knee can't be much better than 50%. I keep hearing speculation from people I trust, people I've known for the longest, who say, you just know he's going to need some kind of surgical cleanup procedure on that knee once the season is over, that he no longer has the same stop-start quickness, the step-back quickness that he's had. Yet, when that guy has smelled blood in both Games 5 late and Game 6 late, can you believe how Steph, on 50% of a knee, if it's that in fact, how he just wills the ball in the basket? I mean, it's just, listen, this guy, what he has when he keeps pounding his heart, hey, he's special. What he is made of is special. He made those 2 late threes, and they were just kind of set shot threes from distance.
But that's the whole point.
Okay, but then
31, 10, and 9 is 31, 10, and 9. It's
okay,
special.
but to your final point about Ibaka, that dagger shot, that dagger banker that Steph made over Ibaka to clinch it at the end, you know, the little runner up off the glass with Ibaka lunging, trying to block it.
And fading away.
Yeah, he faded it in mid-flight. He faded and made it off the glass soft. I'm like, what a shot. What a gutsy, close-it-out shot. Klay made a bunch of great shots. He made these shots. Steph did. And that's why he's the back-to-back most valuable player.
I mean, he's a bad boy. We all know this. I mean, he's the most – I mean, listen, he's very deserving of being a 2-time league MVP. He's a superstar of the highest order because more than anything, he closes. When it's time, he doesn't mind at all. He's going to close the deal. He's got Jordan-esque qualities.
He does.
Kobe qualities, D-Wade qualities in that regard. He's going to close. There's no question about it. But now, again, because of his greatness and because it's supplemented by the great shooting of Klay Thompson, we are going to find out about Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I just can't wait. I wish the game was right now. I wish the game was right now.
I can't wait to hear your prediction in our next block.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. ABC always be closing. So OKC missing out on a golden opportunity there, as Stephen A. described, a choke job. To put this in perspective, the last time a team came back from a 3-1 deficit in a conference finals was 35 years ago. The Celtics from the brink of elimination. The Warriors are now on the brink of the NBA Finals. Will they complete the comeback? That is next. Predictions. Stay with us.
You've been dreaming about this moment since you were a kid. You've been wanting this moment since you were a kid. That's always been talked about. It's playing in the big games and the playoffs. And, you know, I think that, you know, it's okay to win so bad. But I think from the first to the 15th guy, man, we got to enjoy this process. Because if you ask anybody, you know, coming into the season, if you want one game to go to the NBA Finals, they'll sign up for that. So, you know, we got to be excited for this opportunity and know that, you know, it doesn't come around often and take advantage of it.
KD's ready to go, but the odds are in the Warriors' favor. History not on OKC's side here. Home teams win 100 out of 124 Game 7s. 1 seeds are 28-3 at home, and higher seeds win 83% of the time in home Game 7s, and 65 win teams are 7-1. Thunder fans, don't change the channel on me. Now, Vegas has the Warriors as 7-point favorites. Stephen A., give it to me. Game 7, who you got?
I would love to tell you OKC. Because I certainly don't want Kevin Durant to go out like this. Last time he was in Golden State, he dropped 40. Russell Westbrook had 31, 7, and 8 with 5 steals. But it's Game 7. It's at the Oracle. It's Steph Curry. It's Klay Thompson. Last time we saw them in Golden State, Steph Curry had 31. Klay Thompson had 27. Neither of them shot the ball particularly well. Well, you know, Steph Curry shot about 45% from the field. Klay Thompson shot about 38%. This is a Game 7. You just feel like the moment is going to be too big, that at some point, somehow, OKC will play lights out. They will play stellar basketball. They will push the envelope. They will be breathing down Golden State's neck. And then somewhere late in the game, some kind of stupid mistake is going to take place. And something reminiscent of a team when they lost 15 fourth-quarter leads during the regular season is going to happen. And somehow, some way, Golden State is going to escape with a narrow victory, probably around a score of 105, 101, something like that. And they're going to win Game 7 and go to the finals for a rematch with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, a fully loaded Cleveland Cavaliers this time around. And we'll debate what kind of impact that's going to have on the career of Kevin Durant later on in the show, Skip. But I just think that this is one of those situations where, listen, I thought that they were going to lose. Golden State was going to lose in Game 6. I didn't think it was going to be a Game 7. I picked them to win this series in 7 games originally. But when they were down 3-1, I thought they were done. I just thought that with Oklahoma City imposing its will, sharing, distributing the basketball, trusting with Durant and Westbrook, trusting in their teammates, that there was no way that Golden State could beat that team. But that team didn't show up in Game 6. And if you didn't show up in Game 6 on your home court, I'm not saying you won't do it on the road in Game 7, but I have to see it to believe it. I believe in the talent and the greatness of Oklahoma City, particularly the 2 superstars, who are, as far as I'm concerned, a treasure to watch, regardless of their mistakes. But in the end, I look at Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, that poise that they have under pressure. The tighter the moment gets, the more cool, calm, collected, and poised they appear. You don't teach that. I don't even think it's something you develop. You either have it or you don't. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson have it. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook haven't shown me that they do. If I have to bet my money, I'm picking the poise and marksmanship under pressure over surreal talent. That gives Golden State the edge. I'm picking them to win Game 7.
Wow.
And for them to go back to the finals.
I can't even begin to disagree with any point you just made. I guess that's what my head is telling me, because I do trust these Vegas odds makers lines, Stephen A., and they're just screaming at you game after game after game, Golden State is better. Golden State is better. Now we've gone 7-point spreads, and 6 of them have favored Golden State. And this one's by a lot. It opened at 8.5. Now, again, they're trying to encourage with these spreads betting on the other side, on the underdog. And there's been a lot of betting on the underdog because it's gotten bet down to 7. But, look, I started out with this crazy series, and I thought Golden State could win 4 of the first 5, all close. But I just thought, for the reasons you just detailed, that Golden State could close out Oklahoma City in the clutch, down the stretch, in 5 games. And I was dead wrong about that. And now I step back, and what does my eye test tell me? Game after game after game. I got to tell you, Stephen A., my eye test tells me Oklahoma City's a little better team than Golden State. That Oklahoma City is playing at a little higher, consistent overall level than Golden State is playing at in this series. I'm just telling you, I'm being honest. I'm speaking my heart. Now, you can say I'm trying to do right by my hometown, and maybe I am. Maybe it is too much with my heart. But I told you last week, if this got to a Game 7, there was no way I was going to write off Oklahoma City, because you know and I know how hard it is to beat a really good team 3 straight games. It's got to have taken a whole lot out of Golden State to survive at home in Game 5.
That's a good point.
To go there and just scratch and claw and fight and scrap and steal back home court advantage in Game 6. And then try to get back up within 48 hours for what now most people are saying should be a foregone conclusion. I don't know about that. Go ahead.
What I would say to you is this, and I'm asking a question here. I am not writing Oklahoma City off. When you give a prediction, what you're basically saying is if you had to bet your money, who you going to bet it on? I'm saying to you, it wouldn't surprise me at all because they have better than a puncher's chance. They got 2 of the top 5 players in the world. This is the game of basketball.
Yeah.
They could beat Golden State in a Game 7. It wouldn't shock me. But if you put me on the line and I had to bet my money on one or the other in this situation, I'm going to go with Golden State 105-101. What are you going to do? If you had to bet your money, that's what this is about right now. Because we know Oklahoma City could win.
Do I get Oklahoma City +7? Because I'll take that. I'll run with that, baby.
No. So would I. Hold on. So would I. I'd run with the +7, but this is straight up pick 'em. Where you going?
Okay.
That's why I got to go with Golden State.
Okay, forgive me if this feels like an early morning waffle answer, but back in my gambling days, which are long ago, this is the game.
Long time ago.
Okay, but this is the kind of game I would run from because I have no conviction about it because the series has been bizarre to me from night to night. The swings of this have been wildly unpredictable. There was no way I thought that Golden State could blow game 1. They're up 13 at halftime. Then they won game 2 to hold on. And then there's no way I thought they would get wiped off the map in Oklahoma City twice in a row in 3 and 4. Wow. And I thought then, I think we both thought, there's no way they're going to come back from the 3-1 down dead. And here they are on the precipice with all of Molly's, all the figures, all the stats. They scream Golden State here. But I ask you, okay, so not that I'm dodging the question. If you force me to bet on this game, I'll tell you the truth. If you force me to bet my hard-earned cash on this, I'd bet Golden State. But I just have a feeling that...
That's fair.
Okay, but listen, Kevin Durant is not going to go 10 for 31 tonight. I promise you he won't. And
I think Kevin Durant's going to drop 40 tonight.
Okay, fine.
I think he's going to drop 40 tonight.
You know what? I would bet my hard-earned cash that Klay Thompson, if we want to do over-under on 11 threes, I'll bet he doesn't make 11 threes. I'll just bet you because it's just too hard. I don't think he's going to have that hot a hand. So if he doesn't do what he did and Kevin doesn't do what he did, all of a sudden the playing field, or in this case the floor, levels. And there are times, remember the second quarter of game 2 at Golden State? Kevin Durant made 7 out of 8 shots. And I sat back and said, that's just nuclear. Like, you can't stop that man. Nor could you stop Klay Thompson. I thought they defended Klay about as well as they could defend him the other night. It wasn't like he was wide open. They got hands up in his face. He's just unconscious. We've seen it before. I've seen Kevin Durant get unconscious at 6'11" with a 7, whatever it is, wingspan. And as you know, you can't stop those shots. When he gets in a flow and a rhythm, an efficient rhythm, where he's in the flow and the rhythm of the offense, he's unstoppable. And I expect him to calm down. I expect the pressure to be off Oklahoma City tonight. I don't think there is expectation anymore.
Oh, we disagree there.
I don't see it.
No, we disagree. Let me tell you something right now. Let Kevin Durant go ahead and lose this game. Let him go ahead. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Let him go ahead and lose this game. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But I will tell you this. I believe that Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are going to combine for more than 70, for about 65 to 70 tonight. I really do. My problem, that's right. I think Kevin Durant's going to drop 40. All right. I think Russell Westbrook's going to probably have another triple-double.
Okay,
but here's the question. But here's the problem, Skip. Here's the problem. When the game gets tight, what you going to do? See, they're the one team that's capable of 2 things: having the offensive firepower to ward off the onslaught, the barrage that Golden State could throw at you, or overcoming it. Even if Oklahoma City went down 20,
I agree,
in the first half, they could come back like that.
They got that kind of firepower.
They could do that. Sure. The question is, and you know Kevin Durant's going to, I'm trying to tell you right now, he's going to drop about 40 tonight. I'm trying to tell you.
I would agree.
But here's the thing. when it gets tight and that clock is ticking and you know the season is on the line, again, palms get sweaty, backsides get tight, what you gonna do? I'm saying to you, I have no doubt what Steph and Klay gonna do. My problem is I don't know what Russell and Kevin Durant are gonna do.
Okay.
That's my issue.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've seen them both. Now, again, these are games of not this kind of magnitude, but they both have the capability of making clutch shots. I've seen it before, both of them, Westbrook and Durant.
I'm not talking about shots. I'm not talking about shots, Skip. I'm talking about key turnover. I'm talking about making the right pass.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a Kevin Durant not fouling out. I'm talking about all of that stuff. Whatever it is, are you gonna be there to be the man when the moment demands it?
Okay.
That's what I'm wondering about.
Right. So there's one thing you can't coach or teach, and that's hustle, scrap, energy. I believe Oklahoma City, because Oklahoma City has played harder consistently than Golden State this whole series. That will travel. I expect Oklahoma City to come out, not literally, but throwing figurative punches tonight inside, because they've had the inside muscle length advantage from the start. They have made Draymond Green play much smaller than he even is, and we know he's undersized already, but he's having a hard time against all that length inside. I thought he had a hard time in Game 6.
Hey, listen, I believe that Draymond Green's problem in this series was exposed when he tried to be more than what he is. He tried to be a scorer before Game 5, those first 4 games. He forgot who he was. Over the last 2 games, since they've been down 3-1, I believe that Draymond Green has gone back to what brought him here. He defends. He rebounds. He's actively involved in everything, and he's that inspirational, motivational leader that we needed him to be. I think that Andre Iguodala showing up in Game 6 found himself again and reminded everybody that when called upon, he can be an elite defender. So what I'm talking about is a team in Golden State rife with champions that know how to play their position when it's time. Can Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, they can do anything. They're superstars. But when it's time, where are you going to be? To me, I care about the last 5 minutes. Where are you going to be at? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
Where we disagree is how much pressure is still on Oklahoma City. I think it's off. You think it's on.
No, I think it's off Oklahoma City, but it's not off Kevin Durant.
Okay.
That's a different subject.
All right. I'm just going with...
I'll explain.
Okay.
I'll explain later.
I got it. I'm going with, since this has been wildly unpredictable, I'm going to go wildly unpredictable here. I'm going to go with a bookend game. I'm going to go with the Game 1 score. When they stole Game 1, I'll finish it off with the Game 7 with the same score. 108-102 OKC.
Okay.
All right, we got a split decision, folks. So we want to look ahead to what this Game 7 means, and especially to Kevin Durant. How does it impact his future? If Durant loses tonight, does he return to OKC? That is the question. Go to our Twitter page, vote yes or no. We will share those results later in the show. The guys will weigh in as well. But to the East we go right now. LeBron is heading to his 6th straight NBA Finals, but it's how he celebrated the win that is Skip Bayless ready to unleash. You know you don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.
Go to one finals and everything that goes into it. You will go to your 6th straight. Of what are you most proud?
I don't know, Doris. I've heard all the questions, and that right there is a stumper. I'm just very humbled and gracious that the man above has given me an opportunity to play the game that I love, and I get to go out here and do it every single night in front of my fans. It's very emotional, you know, just to be a part of something like this. This is my 6th straight, and it means everything.
That was an emotional LeBron James after winning Game 6 over the Raptors and heading back to the finals. He'll be just the 8th player to appear in 8 straight in NBA history. Very impressive. Skip, How do you feel about the way LeBron handled the win in Game 6?
Stephen A. Smith, LeBron James has often surprised me great in bad ways. I got to tell you, I was stunned by his reaction because I fully expected LeBron James to keep his game face on, and no matter what Doris Burke asked him right after the game, he would say that nothing else matters except the next step, that this was nice, but we have to remain focused on the next series because just winning the East, Doris, will be meaningless unless we win the NBA Finals. That's what I thought I would hear from LeBron because that's what you would usually hear from the superstar leader of a team that had just won either conference finals. Instead, we just saw LeBron, again, get emotional, teared up. His voice started to crack when Doris asked him about what are you most proud of in your 6 straight trips to the NBA Finals. And look, I want to be very clear about this, Stephen A. Leading 6 straight teams to NBA Finals is an amazing achievement. I take 0 away from that. But LeBron shocked me by embracing this moment and this individual achievement right now. Because to me, he came out of that, then he snapped completely out of it, and he led his team in a celebration that felt like they had just won the NBA Finals instead of just beating Detroit and Atlanta and Toronto in the East. I'll say it again. I believe that LeBron James has had the easiest superstar path to an NBA Finals I can ever remember. It was shameful to me that they lost those 2 games at Toronto because Toronto has no business even being on the same floor with Cleveland in a playoff series. Neither did Detroit, neither did Atlanta. So now, why was this reaction? I have 2 theories. It's possible that on Friday night, LeBron James thought they were going to play Oklahoma City. I sure did. You did. And it's possible that LeBron was just supremely confident because he thinks he can beat Kevin Durant and company because he did it once before. It's also possible that because his 2 co-stars are supremely healthy right now and because he has a coach that he loves and trusts as opposed to David Blatt, that he's supremely confident against either of the Western teams at this point. But it's also, and I have to throw this out, this is my 2 cents, it's also possible that LeBron just fears he'll fall, and this is something you've expressed on the show, that he'll fall to 2-5 in NBA Finals, and that he wanted to just stop and smell the roses before people potentially start to fixate on the fact that he's lost 5 of the 7 finals he's played in. It's just possible that he sat back and said, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the ride right now. I'm going to embrace this, and I don't really care about the next round because it's a beautiful thing that God has blessed me to get this far 6 straight times, so I'll embrace it. And I don't have a huge problem with it, but Stephen A., I was shocked by it because I didn't see that coming from LeBron James.
Well, I think it's a couple of things that you have to pay attention to here, Skip. Number one, people think the road is when you're LeBron James and you don't have the relationships with teammates similar to what you have with your brother, Dwayne Wade, for example. It's a lot of work that goes into that to build a level of trust, chemistry, camaraderie, work through some of the things that could inhibit your road to success, etc. And when you finally feel like you've closed in on that journey by capturing a 6th consecutive Eastern Conference crown, it means a great deal. And me personally, a lot of people, you know, Twitter and beyond have gotten on me, you know, I love LeBron James and, you know, I give him too much of a pass, whatever. They can kick rocks, you know, and I'm only saying it that way because we're on national television. I'd be a lot worse if we were in person because I think that people like that don't appreciate what this man is, what he means to the game of basketball. I don't know LeBron that well personally. I certainly don't hang out with him or anything like that. But I appreciate more so than greatness, great people, meaning great players who don't cheat the game. I look at a LeBron James, and yeah, he's in the Eastern Conference, so the road to the finals is easier than it would be in the West. And chances are, if he was in the Western Conference, there's no way in hell he'd go to 6 consecutive NBA Finals. But at the same time, think about what teams are without him, and then think about what they are once he arrives. And that speaks to his greatness. But then we also have to acknowledge, why is he so great? It's because he never cheats the game. He's consistently working out. He consistently keeps himself in peak condition. He consistently goes about the business of preparing himself for whatever challenges may come. So he makes sure that he's prepared to live up to expectations, which is why he's religiously averaging better than 25, 7, and 6. And so when I look at that, and I look at a star that's making max dollars and has a sneaker deal that can net him over $500 million, along with other endorsement opportunities, this man has every license and every excuse under the sun to rest on his laurels, sit back, chill, and prioritize everything above winning. But he doesn't do that. He prioritizes going for it. He prioritizes, to him, it's about being on that mission every day of playing in June. From the time that October comes and the season comes around, throughout an 82-game schedule, he misses minimal amount of games. He religiously averages better than 35 minutes per night. He knows he's the headliner in every city he goes into, and he answers the bell. Jordan did that. Kobe did that. When Dwayne Wade is healthy, he does that. Kevin Durant to a lesser degree, but still does it. Russell Westbrook to a lesser degree, but still does it. Chris Paul does it. When you guys like that, you know, I'm a fan of the show Scandal, Skip, and I love me some Olivia Pope, Kerry Washington, and her father, the guy that plays her father, we all know him as Papa Pope. I mean, I think he's a phenomenal actor. And I remember an episode when he looked at her and he said, "You will miss me when I'm gone." And I think about that when I think about these players, because you don't get what they give. In other words, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people out there. They don't get it. There are plenty of guys. I'm not going to mention them because I'm in a good mood and I don't feel like diming anybody out. But there are plenty of guys that have made their money who are all about continuing to make their money. But they don't prepare themselves for the challenge of having to win day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. LeBron James is one of those rare breeds. You can never look at him and say that the effort wasn't there and the commitment wasn't there to strive to win. And I'm going to say this, Skip. I don't know who's going to win the finals. I'll make my prediction when it's time. But I'll tell you this. You'll be hard-pressed to find but so many people who won't be rooting for LeBron. Because when you see that level of greatness, you don't wish 5 NBA Finals losses on this man's resume when you see the level of dedication that he gives to the game. These are ambassadors. It's what they're supposed to be. And LeBron James personifies that. And I appreciate him for that.
Okay. That's all valid, big picture perspective. But I want you to step back again and think about, in the same context that you just offered, what he did the other night was the antithesis of everything that you just built him up to be. Hard-working, giving everything, every day, every dribble. I got to tell you, like if we're going to do the Jordan comparison, I know it's unfair, Michael Jordan wouldn't have let his team celebrate an Eastern Conference victory, a championship of the East. He just wouldn't allow it. It would have been game face on. I know I was there. They had a battle royal with Reggie Miller's team. Do you remember that in Indiana in the conference finals that year? But when it was over, it was on to one more step. And it came across to me that LeBron was celebrating an individual achievement, 6 straight finals, which is, again, it's celebratable. But is that the right thing to do? Did you help or hurt your team going forward to help you win another finals instead of lose a 5th finals?
Well, again, when I compare LeBron to a Kobe or MJ or whatever, I'm only speaking of effort. Like, to me, I revered Kobe it wasn't because of his greatness. It was because I personally knew that Kobe would get up at 5 in the morning, 2 weeks after winning a championship, and be back at it working.
Okay.
And so I appreciate the work. The same thing, you know this about Jordan. But obviously, LeBron doesn't compare to them in terms of their championships and their winning record in championships. And in the case of Jordan, I would ask you to stop in any way comparing LeBron or decrying comparisons to Jordan, because you have to remember, Jordan could afford to be that way because he never lost. LeBron knows how it feels to lose in the finals. He's lost 4 times.
I got it.
So he's going to appreciate it. Jordan can't comprehend it because Jordan never lost.
Okay, I got it.
So of course they would be different.
LeBron said, I'm going to stop and
different.
smell the roses. And
because he's lost, so he knows what it's like. So he's got to smell the roses. Jordan was like, hell no. I'm not trying to smell it. I smell the roses when it's time. Because I never lost, and I don't want to know what it's like to lose.
Yeah.
All right, so if the Warriors win tonight, Game 1 Thursday will be at Oracle. If the Thunder win, it'll be at the Q. In either scenario, it'll be Thursday on ABC. When we return, a trip to the finals might not be the only thing on the line for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tonight, the future of Kevin Durant may be as well. We get into it after the break. The Thunder weren't able to close out the defending champion Warriors, and Kevin Durant is at least partly to blame, missing a total of 40 shots in the last 2 games, including 4 of 19 from 3. So many have speculated KD will leave OKC after this season. Stephen A., how big is tonight's game in terms of determining Kevin Durant's future?
Skip Bayless, Molly, it's massive. Kevin Durant's got to show up tonight. He's got to make amends. If he doesn't make amends for his performance in Game 6, he may not live this down. Let's be clear. Kevin Durant is a superstar. He's one of the top 3 players on the planet. He's that lethal. In his own way, he's a freak of nature. He's 6'11". Okay, he's got a 7'6" wingspan. He can handle the ball. He can pull up from 30. And he's got a career average of 27.4 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 rebounds a game on 48% shooting and 38% shooting from three-point range. This dude is as lethal as it comes. He can drop 40 in his sleep. He can average 28. He's the one player that I look at that has the potential to eclipse Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the greatest scorer in NBA history. He's also a great basketball ambassador, a model citizen. I don't care about whatever differences he had with me at the beginning of the season. Kevin Durant's a good brother. He's a good young man, and he's great for the game of basketball. But the problem is his talents are so surreal that 9 years in this league without a championship to show for it is bad enough. But when a legitimate argument can be made that you are the reason that you didn't win, a la Game 6, you got to make amends for that. You don't make amends for that, this will be attached to his career forever. You're talking about a guy that's in his 9th year in the league that has Russell Westbrook as a sidekick and can't get it done? That's inexcusable. You're talking about a guy that's in a position to opt in and stay in Oklahoma City for a 2-year deal and opt out after 1 next summer, where he can re-up after 10 years in the league and sign for in excess of $228 million. That is on top of the $300 million Nike deal Rock Nation just got him when you had Under Armour trying to come into the mix to get him, and Nike exercised their option to match or exceed any offer that came his way. So you're talking about a $300 million man in one endorsement deal who has the potential to make another $228 million on the court. And that doesn't count all of this other stuff. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing? No rings whatsoever? Steph Curry comes out of nowhere. He's handling business. LeBron is in the East Side handling business. And you are just putting up numbers? Unacceptable. Now, we're talking about him possibly leaving OKC. First of all, you heard about L.A., like I told you prior to the season. Then we heard about Miami. I hear that there's no way in hell that he'd consider going home to D.C., even though I would love to see him playing in the nation's capital, because that would be beautiful, okay? So the likelihood is that he may end up staying. The point is, if you lose, where the hell are you going? You the reason that it didn't happen because you blew game 6. Now, in concert with Russell Westbrook, but nevertheless, that's what happened because, again, it was a choke job, plain and simple. So in the end, what it comes down to is this. If we want to look at LeBron, remember LeBron, Skip, and a level of accountability that was thrusted on his shoulders when he couldn't find a way to get it done and all that pressure that was on him in 2011, 2012 when he was down 3-2 and then went to the TD Bank in Boston and dropped 48 on them in 15 and then ultimately won his first finals against Kevin Durant and OKC. Well, we forgive that. They were young and up and coming. But now you've been around long enough. You have the requisite greatness attached to you where the same level of culpability and responsibility that we were quick to throw on the shoulders of LeBron James back in the day, why does he get a pass? Fair is fair. He is great in his own right with the skill set to get it done. And if he doesn't get it done, we shall remember that.
Okay. You've lost me a little bit here because we got two questions going on. We got a legacy question, and we got a where does he wind up next year question based on what is happening right now. On the legacy question, allow me to say, speaking of LeBron, remember, LeBron suffered through the all-time worst finals meltdown I've ever seen a superstar have to undergo against Dallas, and then, to your point, he bounced right back the next year and wiped the slate clean and won his first ring. So it's not like Kevin Durant couldn't do that next year with the Thunder.
Well, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that it would be until you captured the championship.
Okay.
I'm saying if he loses tonight and nothing else he does matters anymore until he wins the championship. And there's nothing to talk about. We know he's great. We know he's lethal. We know he's one of the best. We know all of these things. I'm saying that the narrative on Kevin Durant will forever be about getting the championship.
Sure.
All of that other stuff is irrelevant now. We don't care about that anymore with him.
But you can't forget they did get up 3-1 on a team that is not only the defending champ, but they won a record 73 games.
But that's why.
That's pretty good. That's actually pretty great.
But that's why. But that's why. If you're going up against a 73-9 all right, and then all of a sudden they're just too great and they overwhelm you, that's a different narrative. But clearly they weren't capable of overwhelming you. You went up 3-1 on them, and then you blow it. That's the point. That's what the problem is.
Okay, just me. Kevin Durant didn't play the worst game I've ever seen any star play on Saturday night. He was bad by his standards, obviously, 10 for 31, one big late turnover. But remember, his co-star, his point guard, turned it over 4 times in the last minute and 39. So there's co-blame to be shared there, right? I mean, you can't dump that whole Saturday night just on Kevin Durant. Russell Westbrook had to share part of it, right?
Well, how many times do I have to repeat myself?
Okay.
I said choke about both of them
I got it.
5 times already.
Okay, now we're back to Kevin Durant. Obviously, he has the ability to leave, as we talked again and again about. My point is, tonight's outcome, the way it unfolds, will dictate whether Kevin Durant stays or goes. Because to me, if Oklahoma City, let's do the worst case. If Oklahoma City just comes out flat because they got flattened in the last 5 minutes of Game 6 at home, let's say they get run off the floor by Golden State tonight, I think Kevin Durant leaves. I think he throws up his hands and says, it just didn't work out here with Russell for whatever reason. We just couldn't get it done together. I got to go chase my ring somewhere else. Remember, I'm pretty sure Golden State would take Kevin Durant next year. They would figure it out. I'm pretty sure my Spurs would take Kevin Durant next year. They would figure out how to fit him under their salary cap.
And anybody with sense would take
they
Kevin
would,
Durant if they had the opportunity to get him. But it would be catastrophic for him to want to go to one of those two teams. Well, it would be catastrophic.
Catastrophic. It wasn't for LeBron James.
In terms of his image. In terms of his impact. What the hell would you be going to Golden State for? They wax you and you going to leave Russell Westbrook and join them?
If you can't beat them, join them.
It doesn't get much weaker than that.
Yeah. Okay, but was it weak for LeBron to finally throw up his hands and say, I can't do this by myself. I need my man Dwayne.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop that. Enough's enough. When LeBron left Cleveland in 2010, there were both personal and professional things going on in Cleveland. That's number one. Number two, Miami wasn't much. They had fallen off the map, okay? If you're Kevin Durant, how the hell are you going to get your team to the Western Conference Finals and leave for the team you played in the conference finals against? I mean, what do they need you for? I mean, you are literally jumping on the bandwagon.
Okay.
Now, if he left to go to D.C., or he left to go to Miami or something like that and be against LeBron in the East, that would be different. But to go to Golden State? What?
San Antonio?
What? Well, I know that's your wishful thinking.
Well,
I mean, hey, you know, I don't mind that.
Would be,
I mean, I understand.
You beat him and you
LaMarcus
joined
Aldridge
him,
clearly
right?
needs him.
Okay.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, okay. So my point is this. If they win tonight and get to the NBA Finals, I think Kevin Durant will stay in Oklahoma City. Even if they play a good game tonight, they take it down to the wire, and maybe
possible.
Steph Curry makes another shot of shots to win the game. I think Kevin says, hey, we came close. They were a little better than us in the clutch.
Well,
you know, like
let's understand something to close this segment out. There's a philosophical difference between you and I. You're giving Kevin Durant and Oklahoma City credit for being up 3-1. I'm saying when you are a superstar of this magnitude and you are up 3-1, when you forfeit such a lead, that sticks with you, particularly when you've never won the championship. Now, if you won a championship before, but you just have a bad few games in a series and somebody comes back to beat you, that's different. But when you've never won a championship, and you are on the cusp of capturing one, and you lose a 3-1 lead, that stays with you, especially when you, in large part, had something to do with why it didn't happen.
Okay, but again, I'm not condemning Kevin Durant because he hasn't won a championship. They haven't figured out how to get it home, and because his point guard also hasn't figured it out. And in the end, when he turns it over 4 times down the stretch, that's not all your fault.
When Magic Johnson lost to the Boston Celtics, even though it wasn't a 3-point lead, and he turned the ball over to Dennis Johnson like on 3 straight possessions, God rest Dennis Johnson. So when that happened, yeah, Magic got maligned a little bit, but at the same time, we were like, this is a champion that had a bad game. But when you've never won the championship,
I'm looking at it the other way around.
And all of a sudden you get in your own way, that's a problem.
I don't think so.
Well, that's you and I. We different. That's why you are who you are and I am who I am.
That's true.
We just think differently on that.
Bottom line, where does Kevin Durant wind up next year?
I have no clue. I would guess Oklahoma City because that's where he could get the most money. Plus, he could opt out next year as well, still be a free agent and get even more money than he would get this year.
Okay.
So that would be my guess.
I'm just saying if they lose and get beaten soundly tonight, he's out.
Okay.
All right.
I wouldn't put it. Listen, I don't know what the hell Kevin Durant's going to do because I don't care. My priority is that he wins tonight.
All right.
I don't care where he's at.
You're going to have to start caring because we're going to be talking about it a lot this summer. But
Y'all can talk about it a lot this summer, but it ain't going to be me. I got vacation coming up. I ain't got time for that nonsense.
Oh, okay.
You'll come off vacation to care about it.
That's a beat writer. Let the beat writers do that.
Okay.
I'm taking my vacation. I can promise you that.
He's busy. We want you guys to weigh in. So if Durant loses tonight, does he leave OKC? Go to the First Take Twitter page, vote yes or no, and we will share those results later in the show. Stephen A. won't be weighing in on that. So Thursday, the Cavs get the winner of tonight's game between the Thunder and the Warriors, but should they be the favorites no matter who they face? That's the discussion next. The Cavaliers have dominated this postseason, losing only 2 games on their road back to the NBA Finals. The Cavs are the 4th team in the last 10 years to return to the NBA Finals after losing in the Finals the previous season. The previous 3 all won. Now, Game 1 of the Finals is Thursday. If it's against the Warriors, it'll be at Golden State. If it's against the Thunder, it will be in Cleveland. Stephen A., let's start with you. Should the Cavs be the favorites to win it all?
No, they should not. I don't feel that way. I'm praying that I'll be wrong because I want LeBron to win the championship. I just don't want 5 NBA Finals losses attached to his resume. I don't think his greatness warrants that. But the reason I say no, I wouldn't label the Cavs the favorites. I think the Cavs can beat anybody. I think Kyrie is big time. And whether he's going against Westbrook or he's going against Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving is going to get his. LeBron James is going to get his. My huge question mark is Kevin Love. Is Kevin Love going to show up, whether it be against Serge Ibaka or Draymond Green? Because I don't know if I'd give him the advantage over Draymond Green because I think Draymond Green can get in his head. I don't know about Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka starts playing like the man he is as opposed to trying to jack up three-pointers. I believe in Serge Ibaka. If not, and he wants to shoot those threes, I'd believe in Kevin Love. But that's a question mark. And because it's a question mark, and Cleveland's best post presence essentially is LeBron James, with the size Oklahoma City has, and the quickness and athleticism that Golden State has, and the marksmanship, it's hard for me to label the Cavs the favorites. Now, that's not to say they can't win, because the Cavaliers, if they bring their A game, they can beat anybody. And it's going to be real interesting, which is why I'm not making a prediction yet, because it's like, hey, it depends on who they go against and what you believe. But it does come down to Kevin Love more so, and to a lesser degree, J.R. Smith. Literally, those 2 individuals are holding Cleveland's title hopes in their hands. Because I have no doubt what LeBron's going to do, and I have no doubt what Kyrie Irving is going to do. My question mark is Kevin Love, because he hasn't been in this moment before. And on the other side, J.R. Smith. When J.R. Smith is hitting his shot, he looks like an all-star. When he's missing his shot, he forgets every other element of the game of basketball. He's been playing better defense than anybody on the Cavs at times. His defense is not as effective when he's missing shots. He has ball handling skills. He don't know how to ball handle once he's missing shots. He can hit free throws. Don't know how to get to the free throw line once he's missing shots. When he doesn't make shots, his game evaporates. That cannot happen in the NBA Finals. And so you're asking me, in order for the Cavs to be the favorites, I have to literally ordain that Kevin Love and J.R. Smith is reliable. I'm here to tell you they're both very, very, very capable. They can play and they can get it done. But can I bet my money on them and rely on them to do it over the course of a 7-game series for a championship on the line? No, I cannot. And that's why they would not be my favorites.
You know, this is a tricky question, because if Oklahoma City manages to win tonight, I think you would sing a different tune, because you also wouldn't be sure if Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook could be relied upon in an NBA Finals against LeBron and company, right?
Well, if they showed up tonight, it will go a long way towards
Maybe
elevating my level of confidence in them.
Okay. So my answer to this is I'm not going to back off LeBron on this one. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. This man is playing his highest level of all-around basketball I've ever seen him play. I'm talking about all phases. Defending, passing. I still say he's the best passer in basketball. Making mid-range shots when required, and just slicing and dicing defenses. He's figured it all out. His IQ plus his physical ability right now make him, to me, the best all-around player in basketball. And I'm going to remind you, last year, they're up 2-1 with Game 4 in LeBron's house on Golden State in the Finals. So what do I see now in the rest of his team? Kyrie looks like he's nearing 100% healthy, and it appears that he and LeBron have resolved whatever petty differences they might have had. they are blending and clicking. Kevin Love, Ty Lue, I give him the highest marks. Stephen A., he's gotten in Kevin Love's head in a good way. He's starting to convince Kevin Love that he can be a bad man because he's capable of being a bad man, a force. And he has been on occasion here of late, certainly against Toronto when they most needed him. And then I look down at J.R. Smith. I see a guy who's growing up and settling down and figuring it out, much because of LeBron's tutelage, just LeBron being his big brother. LeBron definitely has become Tristan Thompson's big brother, and Tristan's playing at a high level. And then David... Oh, I think he is.
I wouldn't say Tristan Thompson's playing at a high level.
I would.
I like Tristan Thompson. I'm very fond of him, and I root for him. But I wouldn't say he's played at a very high level. I wouldn't say that.
I thought he did in Game 6 at Toronto. I thought he was better than
Okay. I got you. I was talking the series. Game 6, you're right. Yeah.
And then, as you keep pointing out, David Griffin put the icing on top because Channing Frye, on any given night, boy, he can be lethal from 3. So I like the mix. I even like Delly and LeBron. They got great chemistry. I know it's just in little spurts, but when those two start playing pick and roll with each other, they're hard to stop. Because Delly's smart, and he's tough, and he's fearless. So all those pieces, they're all healthy. Well, and LeBron's got the coach that he likes and the coach he respects. And they're rested mentally and physically. I don't know. I got to make him a slight favorite.
I will give you. I've been very impressed. I mean, not with his shot making, but Dellavedova impresses me.
Yeah.
Nobody works harder.
Nobody
maximizes.
Yeah.
Nobody maximizes their talent more so than he does. I'm a fan of Matthew Dellavedova. I just don't think he's on the same level as Steph, as people tried to make it last year. But I'm a fan of his.
Yeah.
Channing Frye obviously is a big-time pickup. I think David Griffin has done a marvelous job as an executive for this team. I think Tyronn Lue has pushed the right buttons when it counts most. Their entire coaching staff, you know, with Phil Handy and you know, Larry Drew and, you know, the list goes on, Paul Preston, all of these guys, man, they're doing a great job. And they got a lot to be proud of. So it's not about them not being a very formidable team, and nobody is questioning whether or not they're capable of winning the chip. But when you ask about being the favorites, you have to take into account the opposition. And for everybody that you bring to me, I can counter with what either OKC or Golden State would bring to the table if they met in the finals.
No, I got it.
And I'm just looking at it from a matchup perspective, and I'm saying to say they would be the favorites, maybe against OKC, maybe not because of their size and their physicality and their ability to defend. Golden State, definitely not.
Yeah, and what Golden State has psychologically is, speaking of chips, the chip on its shoulder that it had an asterisk last year on its championship because Kyrie went down and Love was out.
That's true, but I will tell you this, as I've reported, they want Cleveland badly, but I would also tell you LeBron and the Cavs want them badly.
Sure.
Because Kyrie Irving, I'm trying to tell you right now, Kyrie Irving's going to do some damage.
Sure.
He's going to do some damage. And Kevin Love, listen, Kevin Love's a different personality, but he's no punk.
No,
he's going to show up and play. He's going to show up.
Saturday night, we had a show in the 4th. It was Klay Thompson, not Steph Curry, who saved the Warriors in Game 6 and put his name in the record books. But did he prove he's the better shooter? That is the question. Skip and Stephen A. will answer that next. Stay with us. The Warrior season did not come to an end Saturday thanks to a huge Game 6 from Klay Thompson. The Splash Brothers scored 41 points, including a playoff record 11-3. Steph Curry wasn't too shabby either, putting up 31 of his own. Stephen A., did Klay Thompson prove he's a better shooter than Steph Curry Saturday?
No, he didn't, but he definitely made a case that it's something that should warrant a debate. This is Klay Thompson. His 5th year in the league, he has shot better than 40% from three-point range his entire career. He has never shot worse than 40% from three-point range in his entire NBA career. Former 11th overall pick in the NBA draft. This dude is special, no doubt about it. Reigning three-point shooting champion. And as a spot-up shooter, when you see him, when he catches fire, he's better than anybody in the game. But on a night-in, night-out basis, even though he's improved tremendously and he's religiously shot better, 46%, 47% from the field over the last 2 years, and obviously 43 and 42% from three-point range. This dude is a marksman extraordinaire. There's no doubt about it. And if you're going to have a debate about the best shooters in the game, it's him, it's Steph Curry, it's J.J. Redick. Those are the guys that you put up in there. I know Kawhi Leonard had a successful year shooting from three-point range, but he ain't on those dudes' level. As marksmen, shoot three-point snipers. These guys are just on another level. And so when I look at it, I'm still going to give the edge to Steph Curry because he does it off the dribble. He does it whether contested or not. He does a lot of those things. Not to say that Klay Thompson doesn't do it, but he's usually catching and shooting. And obviously, he doesn't have the ball handling skills to shoot off the dribble the way that Steph Curry does. I'd still give Steph Curry a slight edge because he can do it under any circumstances. But if you're talking strictly spotting up or catching and shooting, Klay Thompson plays second fiddle to no one. It's just that Steph Curry has more of an arsenal because his jump shots can come under a myriad of circumstances, whereas Klay Thompson's three-point shooting comes off of being open, setting up, or catching and shooting off screens. That's the difference between the two. But it's a 1 and 2 thing right there, and it's definitely close.
Wouldn't you agree the two best shooters you've ever seen are these two guys?
I would pretty much say that, but it's hard for me to ignore that, Skip, because I've seen J.J. Redick shoot this year as well. And J.J. Redick is no joke.
No,
and he shot a better percentage than these guys as well. So I can't ignore that. But these two guys appear to the mind's eye, numbers aside, to my eye, they appear to be the two best shooters that I've seen. I will say this, though. I've got Hall of Famers like Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, and others who would be quick to remind me that even though they have profound respect for Klay Thompson and what he brings to the table, Klay Thompson has Steph Curry. So when they were the number one options, you're Ray Allen, you're Milwaukee, stuff like that. You know, they're the primary focus, which means they're facing elite defenders. They didn't have a Steph Curry to play with. So that is a good point on a part of a Reggie Miller, for example.
It is. Now, back to my answer to this question. I do give Steph still a slight edge, but Klay can get hotter and he can get colder than Steph. Steph has always taken more threes and made a higher consistent percentage of threes than Klay has. But in Klay's case, I'm going to say it again. He scored 37 points in one quarter, and he made 9 out of 9 threes in one quarter. That's just off the charts. I'm not sure that Ray Allen could have done that or Reggie Miller could have done that. I'm not sure. Again, he had Steph to play off of. But in Steph's case, we know what Steph did in one game at Oklahoma City in the regular season. He made 12 threes. That's the record for a regular season game. Now, Klay has the playoff record, 11 threes, also at Oklahoma City. Poor Oklahoma City. They get shot out of their own gym by these two guys. But back to Klay, he's got a 37-point quarter. He also has a 27-point quarter, 26, and 22. Well, Steph doesn't do that, although Steph has 11 20-plus quarters, but his high is only 28, 37 to 28. Steph's done it twice. So what I'm saying is Klay can get hotter than anyone I've ever seen, including Reggie, including Ray. But in this case, you're right. He's just catching and shooting, catching and shooting. Steph can do it off the dribble. He can create his own threes at will when he's healthy, but he's not healthy right now.
Yep, I got you.
Only 2 players in NBA history with 200 three-pointers in 4 straight years. Who are they? Steph and Klay. No surprise there. The San Francisco Chronicle sums it up with the headline, "It's winner take all." But which team has more pressure? That is the question next. We'll get into it.
If we walk in here and like it's a funeral, then we already lost. And nobody walked in like that. You know, we can't feel sorry for ourselves because they aren't going to feel sorry for us, and nobody, whoever's covering the game, fans, you know, nobody's feeling sorry for us. You know, it's just a part of basketball. So guys walking in here real confident. You know, we were upset we lost, but, you know, we let that go. We got to get ready for Game 7.
That's KD's mentality heading into Game 7. So, Skip, I ask you, which team has more pressure on them tonight?
Stephen A. Smith, in my view, the pressure now shifts seismically to the home team tonight at Oracle to win a third straight game against a team that has often dominated the Warriors in stretches of this Western Conference Finals. I think the pressure now shifts to the home team with a chance now to validate the record 73-win season by getting to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I think that's a lot of pressure. I think the pressure is now mostly off the visiting team, which opened, the Thunder did, as an 8.5-point underdog in this game. It's now bet down to 7. But my point is, outside Thunder Nation, I don't think many people really expect Oklahoma City to win this game, so expectations are lowered. And I'm hearing that Oklahoma City is actually relieved this game isn't in Oklahoma City because the crowd gets so hyped that it makes its home team play a little tight trying to get back to an NBA Finals. So I think they have a better chance, they think, at Oracle tonight where they can kind of relax and just let it flow.
I need to ask you a question. What's your definition of pressure? Are you talking about just as it pertains to who wins this game or not, or the ramifications of who loses?
I'm just doing this game tonight. Which team will feel the most pressure? I think the home team will. Just
okay,
tonight.
all right. I agree with that, but for me, I'm embracing it different. If you're talking about who's going to feel the most pressure to win tonight, because in the throes of action, sure, it's Golden State. You overcome a 3-1 deficit. You got a Game 7 on your home floor. You're trying to repeat as champions, validate your 73-9 season. Fair enough. But I'm looking at it, just so you know, about who has the stiffest residual ramifications. Who's it going to stay with more if they lose? I think that's Kevin Durant. I don't even think it's Oklahoma City. I think it's Kevin Durant. Think about this. Think about Golden State. We've been wondering, is Steph Curry really healthy? Is he going to have surgery in the offseason? Is he himself? Blah, 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 right? And we see all of that. And so because of that, you came back from a 3-1 deficit, and you fought and pushed this to a Game 7. That's respect. You might end up losing, but as a champion, you didn't go down like suckers. You handled your business. No. You stepped up and embraced the challenge of being champions, responded to the moment, and pushed it to a Game 7. That's entirely different than a superstar approaching free agency, talking about possibly leaving, etc. One of the greatest players in the world, up 3-1 on the champions, got the endorsement deals and the huge max contract coming, and everybody talking about you. And all of a sudden, Game 6 was on your home floor, and you, in concert with your other superstar, folded like a cheap tent. Yeah. That's what you're holding on to. If Game 6 never happened the way it happened, that would be different. But because of how it went down, how it ended, you have got to respond. Game 7. If you don't, all we're going to remember is Game 6. Kevin Durant has to respond tonight. I believe you. I think he's going to drop 40. But again, it's what are you going to do in those last waning moments when the palms get sweaty and the backside gets tight? What's up? That's what we're looking for, because I know he's going to drop 40. And I think that Russell Westbrook might drop a triple-double. I'm not worried about their numbers. I'm worried about where they're going to be when that crowd at the Oracle is roaring and everybody's going crazy and the clock is ticking and your season is on the line. We all see what Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are capable of doing. If they don't do it, okay, you didn't do it this time, but they've already done it enough times. We're wondering about OKC.
All right, flip it around. Do the hypothetical. What if Golden State loses a Game 1 and a Game 7 at home to Oklahoma City and also got treated like suckers, got blown off the floor like suckers in Games 3 and 4 at Oklahoma City? Will we come in here tomorrow and say the 73 wins were meaningless, empty,
to some degree, we'll say that. But the problem is Steph Curry got hurt against Houston, wasn't fully recovered against Portland, and there were questions that persisted all along. He just negated them, and Golden State negated them because, like champions do, they left no room for excuses. They owned it and came back and stomached it. But in our heart of hearts, as you alluded to earlier in the show, there are questions about how healthy Steph Curry is. So in the crevices of our mind, we have that as a backdrop. What possible backdrop does Kevin Durant have?
Okay, so are we saying that Golden State does have an excuse if it loses at home tonight? Steph, in his health?
To some degree, I'm saying not right now, but in reflecting on in the offseason, we might say that. We won't say that about Kevin Durant.
No.
We're not going to say that.
We'll leave it there. We asked you guys earlier in the show that if Kevin Durant loses, is he leaving OKC? We'll have your results and react to them when we come back. Stay here.